I know what you're thinking. Is he gonna start off the video saying something corny like, is it safe? Is it safe? I have way too much self-control to do something. Oh. Damn it! Is it safe? Okay, everybody, today we're going all the way back to the 1970s once again, because basically it was a far superior time in motion pictures compared to what you have today. We were going to look at 1976's Marathon Man. But before we go any further, before we dig into this gem anymore, once and again, and as always, to the trailer.
Whoever killed him will probably want to speak to you.
I don't know anything.
I'd like to use you as possible bait.
It's not safe.
Is it safe?
Is it safe?
No, it's not safe. It's very dangerous.
He's probably the wealthiest and most wanted Nazi left alive.
I'm positive your brother meant to rob me when I leave the bank with my diamonds.
Oh, I don't know anything.
Well, can I trust you?
You never could.
You're uncontrollable. What you offer us is valuable, but it's not worth the chaos you're causing.
Where is he?
No!
Now, when the gap gets too large between what the FBI can handle effectively and what the CIA doesn't want to deal with, that's where we come in.
What do you do exactly?
We provide
Provide what?
anything.
Were you Szell's mistress?
I never even met him.
Is it safe?
Marathon Man.
All right, this motion picture was directed by John Schlesinger. What did he do? Let's take a look. We're talking about Yanks. We're talking about Day of the Locust and Sunday, Bloody Sunday, not the U2 song, and Midnight Cowboy and Honky Tonk Freeway and The Falcon and The Snowman and Pacific Heights and An Eye for an Eye. That's Chuck Norris. Anyway, did a good little batch of motion pictures. I mean, maybe not Spielberg level, but what he did was really good, and he should be remembered. All right, starring as Babe, and I know him well over 200 reviews now, and I don't know if I've ever done one with Dustin Hoffman. How crazy is that? Anyway, we're talking Dustin Hoffman. Let's run the numbers. We're talking about Kramer versus Kramer. We're talking about The Graduate and Little Big Man and Papillon and Straw Dogs and Midnight Cowboy and Tootsie and Ishtar and Rain Man and Hook and Outbreak and Sphere and Wag the Dog and those Fockers flicks and Billy Bathgate. So, I mean, there's more. There's more. The guy's career was like ridiculously huge. It is what it is. Let's keep moving. Playing Szell, Laurence Olivier. I shit you not. Let's do this. We're talking about he was in things like The Boys from Brazil, and Sleuth, and Rebecca, and The Bounty, and Clash of the Titans, and The Jazz Singer, and A Little Romance, and The Betsy, and The Battle of Britain, and Othello, and Spartacus, and The Devil's Disciple, and Hamlet, and all kinds of stage work. The guy's basically acting royalty. Let's move on. Playing Doc! Oh man, you know he's one of my favorites. I just reviewed him a couple reviews ago, whatever you want. Roy Scheider. Let's go. We're talking he was in Jaws 1 and Jaws 2. We're talking about he was in the 7-Ups, which you know I love, and All That Jazz, and The French Connection, and The Russia House, and 52 Pickup, and Night Game, and Blue Thunder, my God, and Still of the Night, sorry, I'm talking over myself here, and The Outside Man, and Clute, Loving, The Men's Club, 2010, the year we made contact. He wound up on TV in that Sequest 2032 show, whatever it is. I've reviewed so much of his stuff, I can't even count it anymore. It's like ridiculous. Big Roy Scheider fan. Let's keep moving. Playing Janeway. Not Janeway from Star Trek Voyager, but Janeway. William Devane. Covered him a couple times too. Let's run the numbers. We're talking he was in The Bad News Bears Breaking Training. He was in The Dark, which I've already done. In Rolling Thunder, and Space Cowboys, and Hollow Man, and massive amounts of TV. Knots Landing, Crumbs, Turks, Michael Richards Show, Phenom, Ironside, Early Edition. Guy's career is ridiculous. I was actually in high school with his niece, of all things. Well, is what it is. Let's keep moving. Playing Elsa! I just talked about it like 2 movies ago. I usually try to space things out so the actors don't come that close, but it is what it is. Marthe Keller. Let's go. We're talking about, yes, I just covered her in Black Sunday. But she was also on some other stuff like Bobby Deerfield and Fedora and Hereafter and The Old Maid and The Formula and My Best Enemy and Breath of Life and The Escape and My Little Sister and tons of movies overseas. It is what it is. Good career. Come on, we gotta keep going. And of course, there's a few other faces I should just bring up very quickly who have prominent, decent-sized roles in this thing, and you've seen before. Of course, I just talked about Fritz Weaver a couple weeks ago, and he is in this too. We're talking about, yes, Black Sunday and Creepshow. And we're talking about Richard Bright, Godfather flicks, Once Upon a Time in America, The Getaway, and Mark Laurence. Jesus Christ, you see him all the time. The Man with the Golden Gun, The Asphalt Jungle, Foul Play. So, again, good cast, solid cast, a lot of faces you're going to remember and know. Let's keep moving. Okay, everybody, I'm going to try to do this in 90 seconds. Let's keep it short, keep it fast, keep it entertaining, keep it moving so we can get to it. Much rather be the summation. And I really have an issue when people do stories, sections of motion pictures, and they talk about them, and they give away too much to an espionage thriller type flick. So I'm not going to be too exact. I just don't like when people walk you through a movie, because what the hell's the point of watching it at that point? So I'm going to try to touch the bases and keep it moving and get to where we need to be. You'll get the idea. Movie starts off, you got this guy. He's at a bank. He's taking some things out of a lockbox. I'm not really sure what's going on. Whatever. What have you. He leaves. He hands off the stuff to another guy. That guy takes off. He winds up going out and getting in an argument with another little old dude. And they are having like a little road warrior meeting of the minds road rage incident where they both wind up dying. You cut along, you move forward, you got Roy Scheider, and all of a sudden he's making a delivery. You see he's making a delivery to somebody that's kind of busted his chops. He makes the delivery and finds that guy dead. Ooh, now you know Roy Scheider, William Devane, they know something is wrong. But who are these guys? What exactly are these guys doing? You don't really need to know. It just goes that way. So you cut forward and you got one babe. Basically, Dustin Hoffman. He's a college student, getting his PhD, whatever. He's really wrapped up in the suicide of his father, who was like persecuted wrongly or something during like the McCarthy era, whatever. Take it for what it is. It's another side issue. Anyway, you find out that he's big into running. He's big into running the marathon. He lives in a sketchy area of town. All this other kind of stuff. Well, he meets this chick in the school library one day, and he's obsessed with her. He starts following her around, starts going around with her, chasing her around. Is what it is. What difference does it make? Cut back and forth again. You got one Roy Scheider. Somebody's trying to kill him now. Ooh, all kinds of crazy shit's going along. Everything is falling apart. People are trying to kill the couriers. Who are the couriers? Well, it's a long story. Anyway, he survives. winds up going to see his brother, Babe, who just got mugged in the park by two old men in suits, and that does not make sense. It is what it is. Well, again, I don't want to keep going down every little detail of this motion picture, but you have this guy who was a former Nazi. Well, former, current, whatever the hell you want to call him. His name is Szell. Escaped after World War II. What he basically does is he feeds other escaped Nazis to this group that, Roy Scheider and William Devane work for. He turns over names, they capture them, but they deliver this guy's goods, his diamonds, to him that he took from Jewish people that were about to be executed. Long story, you'll find it in the motion picture. And they give him some of his money on occasion, originally sent by his brother. But when things all go haywire, he thinks somebody's trying to steal his diamonds and his cash. He starts having all the people that deliver this shit killed, and all hell breaks loose. And because of that, you find out that, well, Dustin Hoffman is now on that list because this guy, Doc, Roy Scheider, just happens to be his brother. There you go. That's kind of the gist of it. I'm not going to tell you everything. That's kind of the overview. Whatever. Let's just keep moving. Get to the summation. You know you like that part better anyway. Okay, everybody. Does Marathon Man work? Yes, Marathon Man works. It's one of the classic thrillers of the 1970s. Often, I wouldn't say forgotten, but not brought up quite enough. You think the 70s, yes, you're going to think French Connection, all that kind of stuff. You're going to think all those, the Godfather flicks, whatever. Marathon Man gets brought up, but maybe not quite as much as some of the others, and we're going to go into that today. Okay, let's get the big three out of the way as we always do. First, the directing. Great looking movie. Great looking movie. Schlesinger it's a great looking movie. It has that kind of New York grit, that kind of feel, that vibe that you just want from a big city action flick. It is what it is. It looks great. It has that 70s mirth. It has that kind of down and dirty and gritty look to it. That is all over motion pictures of the 70s. It was all over Midnight Cowboy and some of his other work. So it's here. It's looking good. It's framed well. What more do you want? The writing. Solid dialogue. It's an espionage flick. Yes, there's a lot of pieces to follow. Yes, there's a lot going on. But the characters remain true to themselves. There's some witty writing in there. So the dialogue, the writing, spot on. And the acting. If there's anything that makes this movie shine, really, really shine, is the acting. You got some powerhouse shit going on in here. I'm going to get more into it in a moment, honestly. But the Hoffman performance, the Scheider performance, the Olivier performance, off the hook. Off the hook. I'm going to let you know in a minute what I really, really think about it when I talk about all the pluses of this motion picture. But watch it for the acting alone. Okay, everybody, back on track. Why does Marathon Man work? Simply because it delivers on what it's supposed to deliver. It's a tightly directed, well-paced, thoughtful, intelligent espionage flick. Everything that's basically missing from modern motion pictures, wrapped up in one little thing. It is one of those motion pictures that wants you to think enough. It wants you to discover enough, because in the beginning you're going to be partially lost. You don't know what the hell's going on in this motion picture at first. You're like, what are we doing? What are they transporting? What's going on? How does this fit together? Who is Roy Scheider? Why is William Devane there? What the hell is taking place? And they don't give you the whole thing up front and then just let you follow the story. It's one of those motion pictures where they just give you a chunk at a time, and then you say, oh, I get where we are. I get where we are. Oh, that's what's taking place. Oh, this is why that matters. I get it. And it is laid out in that fashion, which makes the motion picture much more intriguing. They don't blurt it all out in the first 45 seconds and then just walk you through it. They let you discover it as you're walking along. Basically a lot like the character of Babe, who doesn't know what the hell's going on either. You're just finding out chunks as you're going along, and it will make sense as it goes along. You have to pay attention during this motion picture. This isn't a get up and go make popcorn for 4 minutes and come back and say, what happened type of motion picture. No, it's not Porky's 3. This is a really deep, a really thoughtful, a really intense motion picture that if you fall out of the story for a couple seconds, you're screwed. And also for a motion picture, that is long. This motion picture clocks in over 2 hours, so, you know, it's got some girth to it. It doesn't feel weighed down. It's a very deliberate pace, I give it that. There are moments where it picks up a bit, but it's one of those motion pictures that rolls along a nice, firm, taut speed and doesn't really slow down or overly pick up. It's just what it is, and you are on for the ride, discovering what's going along. It's very well done. And let me say also, as I alluded to earlier, the acting in this thing is just great. It truly is. I know that he has been heralded as one of the greats of all times, you know, the Brandos and all that kind of stuff. But Laurence Olivier, if you watch this motion picture, you see why. When he's playing Szell, I mean, he can be the most evil, frightening, terrifying, cold-hearted, psychotic human being just with his eyes and the way he speaks and his mannerisms. It's fucking terrifying. It's great acting. But then when he needs to turn on the charm and switch from the guy you're supposed to be afraid of to a guy you're supposed to either like not be afraid of or think is charming, or you're supposed to think that the guy is just affable and not too bright, he does it, and he does it perfectly. And the part of it that's perfect is that he's not just doing it. You can see he's doing it, but there's a layer underneath that layer that shows you it's a dark guy doing it, where there's a little bit of evil intention under it, or a little bit of I hope they're buying this under it. It's not just like he switches characters and plays something different. It's a layer on a layer, and that kind of shit is brilliant work. So he alone in this motion picture is worth watching. But when you throw in Hoffman, you throw in Roy Scheider, even William Devane, this is when everybody was at the best of their best. This is when they were all in their mid-70s peak fucking powers of their job. And for that alone, you got to watch this motion picture. And lastly, I should mention, before I get into a couple of negatives, one of the things that was always great about 70s motion pictures that was before the 80s is that your hero in the movie, if you want to call them that, are very, 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 very human. They're not supermen. They get the shit beat out of them. They get knocked down. They sometimes find a way out of trouble, granted. But these are not the Rambos and the John McClanes and all these kind of guys. These guys are vulnerable. They can't take out a room full of dudes. They can't do any of those kind of stuff. And that's what Hoffman is. That's what Scheider is. They're just people in these extraordinary circumstances. They're not superheroes, they're not supermen. They're just people. And that's one of the things that this movie shows you and that the 70s shows you oh so well. Now, are there any negatives on this motion picture? Well, not a whole lot. My biggest complaint was I was not a fan of the what is he thinking flashback scenes. I think that the motion picture could have rolled along without you looking into the mind of Dustin Hoffman and seeing him picturing marathon runners in his head, or see him picturing the moment when he found his father dead on the floor from suicide, or seeing the moment when he sees his brother. You didn't need the flashbacks. The dialogue would have covered it. You could have kept everything based and grounded in the moment and the time that this motion picture was taking place. You didn't really need to do that flashback to that weird, I can't think of the word in my head right now, but the off-color, orangish colored, vintage colored film or whatever, that literally just tries to say to you, this is what he's thinking, this is a flashback to a memory of his time. We get it, he's already said it, we know what's going on. It would just kind of be like these weird moments that would pop up that the motion picture really didn't need. And two, I would say the road rage incident in the beginning of this thing that's basically set off the whole series of insanity that takes place all because of a road rage incident. Everything that was going as a smoothly operated, covert, clandestine machine between these, para-CIA guys and this old Nazi dude, and they had all their system, was thrown out of whack by a car accident. It's a little bit much. Like, didn't anybody call each other? Didn't anybody talk to each other and say, hey, we didn't have anything to do that? I mean, it was like a weird launching point. And the fact that there's like a 95-year-old German man and a 95-year-old Jewish man just having this battle of cars running up and down the middle of the road, and then both crash into a fuel truck and both explode. Okay, that was a little bit thin. For a movie that was so thoughtfully done out and well represented, the idea that that's your launch point, that that's your, hey, this is what takes it off the ground moment, they could have came up with something just a little better than that. Anyway, everybody, get out there and watch Marathon Man. A very, 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 very good, taut little thriller, good espionage flick from the 70s. You know everything in the 70s was better. Don't you lie. You know. Don't fool yourself. It's okay. Come to the realization. So get out there and watch the motion picture. It's a good time, great acting, throwback to when movies could really deliver. Anyway, be good. Take care. Stay out of trouble. Be kind to a stranger. Be there for a friend. But most of all, never, ever, and I mean ever, take any bullshit from anybody. See you soon.